So I go up to her and I said, "Ma'am, you look spiffy today." And you know what she said?
What?
Nobody says spiffy anymore.
Hey everybody, your buddy Basil here, and you are listening to the Joyspiracy Theory. That's right, you're back, I'm back, and we're all back together. And today, who else is back? Shiloh's back. I don't know what this weird thing I'm doing is, but we got Shiloh on the line today. We have an awesome conversation. You guys are really going to love it, but before I tell you more about that, I want to let everybody know, first of all, that I love you very much. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and thank you for all those people who finally are stepping forward, sending me emails to come on the show. And so we're going to have a nice lineup of episodes coming up soon. And if you want to be on the show, don't worry. You don't got to stress about it. Don't try to plan too much. Don't think that you have nothing to say. Everybody's story is valuable, and I've never put out an episode that multiple people didn't say, "Oh my gosh, that spoke directly to my heart." So if you are there and you're hemming and hawing about wanting to come on the show, just do it. Send me an email at basil.rosewater@gmail.com and say, "Hey, I'm ready. I'm coming on the show," and we will get you on. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Also, you may have heard by now, but I'm making sure everybody knows, a new podcast is coming out. You might be thinking, another one? Yes, another one. And it's called Ravel. I'll talk a little bit more about that after the conversation here. But since you're on iTunes anyways, go to your search bar and search Ravel, Ravel. And we have the season 1 trailer up there. I've partnered up with a very smart PhD candidate, and we are getting together and we are talking about the Bible. That's right. It's going to be very friendly for all your non-weirdo friends, and it's going to be looking at the Bible in new, fresh ways with myself and somebody much smarter than me. So go search Ravel and subscribe now and listen to the trailer. Well, okay, folks, it's time to get into the conversation with Shiloh. Man, strap in for this one, because Shiloh tells us her life story, which includes her joining a cult when she was younger, dating a nephilim, and we've got another poet on the show, so we're going to hear some of her poetry as well. Guys, it is quite the ride. So strap in and let's find out how joy and Jesus win in the end.
Hello?
Hello, is this Shiloh?
Yes, this is Shiloh.
How are you?
I am very excited.
Okay, good. Well, you sound good. You're here. That's the first step. We did the first thing. Now, before we get started, though, you got to let me know what you're grateful for today.
Man, there's just so much, I don't know where to start, and I'm sure everybody says that. I listen to a lot of them, they say that. What I am most grateful for is reconciliation with my family.
Yeah. Amen. That's a good one.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, I have a feeling that we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one aspect of it.
Sounds good. Now, you sound great. Are you on some sort of headset, or are you just talking through a computer, or what are you doing?
I'm just talking through my computer, and if I need to turn off my air conditioner, I can do that. It's
okay. Yeah, a couple of things. Probably want to put your head a little closer to your computer, because it sounds like you're kind of far away.
All right, I'll do that.
Oh, yeah, there we go. The closer you can get, the better.
I'm on top of it. Let me turn off the air conditioner.
Yep.
Just kind of, it's not too hot. I'll turn the fan on. I'll be all right. Let me grab my tea here.
Yeah, and if you don't have something like a iPhone headset or something, or like some earbuds.
I do not.
Okay, no problem. We'll just gotta keep your face right near the computer there, and we'll make it happen.
I'm getting up here. have everything kind of laid back,
Yeah.
Well,
Very good. Okay, so Shiloh, where in the world are you?
I am in Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. There we go. Another Texan on the roster here.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to help facilitate my apocalypse escape to Texas when I need to do that?
Oh, I thought we were escaping from Texas.
How is it over there? You guys got a lot of stuff going on. I'm always hearing news from Texas.
A whole lot of stuff. Just mostly, I think, a lot that goes on is the racial tension.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of racial tension in Houston.
Wow, that's in Houston especially, huh? That's very interesting.
Yeah, it really is. You have, just I don't want to label anybody anything, but you have certain ethnic groups that just cannot see eye to eye, will not ever see eye to eye. No, and it just seems it's really sad. Really sad.
That is really sad. Well, hopefully on today's call we'll just be able to fix the whole thing.
That would be nice. and I know how to fix it because my mother taught me.
Oh, well, there you go. You got the secret. Well,
I will that, definitely.
Okay, well, good. So, Shiloh, very cool name, first of all. Very, very happy to be able to say that for the next couple hours.
I tell you what, it's a lot to live up to. A lot to live up to.
I'm sure it has some special meaning. Is there a biblical meaning, or what is that? What's the story?
Yeah, actually, it's the capital of Ephraim. It's the first resting place for the Ark of the Covenant in the Promised Land.
Oh, yeah.
It was the capital of Israel a long before Jerusalem was. And I've watched a couple of YouTube videos on Shiloh, and I just found it really, really interesting.
Oh, very interesting. Okay. Well, we'll see how that plays into the story here. So first of all,
it does, but go ahead. I'll let you lead the conversation.
Oh, no, that's okay. We're gonna get into it. So first of all, tell me a little bit about yourself. You're in Houston now. Have you always been in Houston?
I was born and raised in Houston, but I did escape and went to New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
In 2007, I stayed until 2011. And I loved it out there. I really want to go back, but I have family here that have obligations and everything. So that's why I came back.
Okay, yeah, you came back to your homeland. You were born in Houston, Texas. So you're a true red-blooded Texan.
Yep, I'm an H-Town homegirl, as they say.
H-Town homegirl. I like that. Okay, so what was it like? I mean, I'm assuming that if you're born in Texas or Houston or really in any number of places that church might have been a part of your growing up, your background, or maybe not. What was your childhood like?
Well, I'll start off by saying that I was very, very constantly in the church as a child, Southern Baptist, but I went alone. My mother would not go to church. She thought that it was just a place for people to get dressed up and show off their jewelry. So, but being a child, I didn't care about any of that, so none of that was important to me.
Yeah.
I was there every time the doors were open.
Wow.
I walked from one side of the neighborhood all the way to the other. My mom was so scared at first, but I mean, I'm talking at like 5, 6 years old.
Yeah. Why? What was the draw? Why were you going without being brought?
I just, I was drawn because I wanted to learn more about Jesus Christ. I loved the fellowship and everything of everyone. And my mother actually, even though she didn't attend church, my mother and her best friend were church, so even outside of the building, I had church at home. My mother, I remember every single morning waking up, my mother reading the Bible, and she explained some pretty deep stuff to me. She passed away whenever I was 12, but I still remember a lot of the stuff she taught me.
Interesting. So she didn't necessarily have a problem with God or anything. She was just
Not at all.
had a problem with the sort of institution, the cultural institution of church.
Yes, and I actually, if I can talk about this little tidbit of it of how I quit going to church.
Oh, well, sure. Let's get into it.
Okay, well, there was a van that started picking up kids and everything, and I'm sure this was not her intention. Part of me wonders, was she an agent of Satan? But anyway, digress.
Who's she? Wait, hold on. All I know is there's a van.
Okay, there's a van that comes and picks kids up, so they take us to church and everything, and then we would go for ice cream sometimes. And on one of these occasions,
the driver.
She and I were in the van. I don't recall her name, God, but she and I were in the van alone together. We had stayed back from going to the ice cream parlor, and she asked me, "Do you believe in Satan?" And I was like 8 years old. And in my mind, I was thinking she was asking me, do I believe that he exists? Okay. And I said, yes. Okay. She went loop-de-loo and started accusing me, 8 years old, of worshiping Satan.
What?
Yeah. And it scared me so bad. And I just remember thinking, everybody thinks I worship Satan now.
What a crazy lady.
Yeah, and I never went back.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
She sounds like a real Fruit Loop.
Well, maybe she was, I'm trying to, that's my deal. I through forgiveness and stuff, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, amen.
And so I'm thinking, well, maybe she was trying to something. I don't really know. I'll never know.
I mean, I understand. It's an interesting situation with the wordplay there. Do you believe in Satan? But also, why would she be asking a child, even if she was asking, do you worship Satan? What a weird thing to ask an 8-year-old child.
I mean, was I acting out that bad or something?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I was a bad little kid. I had a lot going on at home too.
Sure.
I was abused by my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just such a strange upbringing because, on the one side I had my dad and his abuse and everything. And then I had my mom who was like this saint,
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Yeah, that is bizarre. So did you have... So you stopped, you were going by yourself at 5 or 6 and stopped going at 8. I mean, did you have a bunch of friends there? Was anybody wondering where you went?
I remember going back for vacation Bible school. And I remember I was so like lonely for their company and everything. And I went back. I think I went a couple more times, but I was just, I don't know. I guess maybe I got disillusioned because I thought maybe because of the abuse, and the trauma. I've had some psychological issues.
Sure.
One of them is paranoia. Mm-hmm. So I started to think that, the worst of myself, that I was damaged, maybe I didn't belong and things like that. So it was pretty hard.
Yeah, that is hard. And that is common in stories like that. But you were pretty young. That's some pretty advanced sort of self-reflection for an 8-year-old.
Yeah. I was a loner, and I was constantly down in the bayou playing with frogs and stuff, and didn't have any friends. I now I know that I have muscular dystrophy, and so I was a little strange. I
Mm.
was funny. I couldn't play the sports games, anything like that. So I just didn't fit in. So, I was the kid that sat on the curb and yelled car, you know,
You sat on the curb and what?
and yelled car when everybody was playing games in the street and everything,
Oh, oh.
like baseball or football or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You were the lookout
Yeah.
for cars coming by. Oh, wow. Okay, so it seems like maybe a little bit of a childhood on the lonely side for a number of different reasons. Did you have any siblings?
I did, but they didn't live with me. And there's something strange about that too. Is that my father is Jewish,
Uh-huh.
Messianic Jew, and I never knew him. I wasn't raised Jewish. But my brother and my sister's father was Aryan Brotherhood. Huh.
Oh, wow.
So I was not invited to join in the reindeer games. you know.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like your mom went from one side of the spectrum to the other there.
Yeah, she did. My mom was a very dynamic woman. She really was.
That might be the most polite thing anybody somebody's described their sort of offbeat mother.
Yeah, she was. She
Very
was.
dynamic. So tell me a little bit more about your mom. When was this first Aryan Brotherhood husband, and when did it switch to the
Well,
Messianic Jewish husband?
yeah. She got married to my brother, and my sister's father. The day she graduated college, and their father was great friends with my grandfather. Now, my grandfather was a Mason, and he sexually molested my mother.
Mm.
She was actually not of my grandfather's wife, my grandmother. That wasn't her daughter. My real grandmother was half Apache and half Choctaw,
Mm.
and so he couldn't marry her. So
Why?
I don't know, something with the Masons.
Oh,
She wasn't, because she wasn't white, or maybe she wouldn't embrace the whatever or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, but my grandfather came back years later and apologized and commented that he hopes he goes to heaven so that he can tell Mama how sorry he was for what he did to her.
Wow, very
And
interesting. Did you have
my
a lot of contact with your Masonic grandfather?
I had some. Now, because he did not like my dad at all. I mean, everyone hated my dad.
Now I'm having a little trouble
I
tracking
really
these dads here. Which ones?
The Messianic Jewish father.
Got it.
Yeah, he was not allowed to be around the family. Nothing.
Mm.
Yeah, my mom even helped, perpetrate that. She told him never to come around, and this and that and the other. Whenever she married my stepfather. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so we've got.
Okay, that's
Okay.
tough.
Okay. So so you're.
Can I say one more thing about my childhood? I was a very bad kid,
Mhm.
suppose, whatever, and I was constantly grounded from television, and I thank God that I was grounded from television. Oh my goodness, I skipped through all that programming, and that's probably one reason why I didn't fit in.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
cut my teeth. I cut my teeth on Chronicles of Narnia.
Hey,
The
there you go.
books I ever read, and my mom was a reader. I'm a reader. I write poetry. My daughter writes poetry.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have a poem to share. Whenever we get a chance. Whenever we get
Awesome. Yeah, I'm writing that down here. We'll make sure to get into that as we get there.
a great
So,
poem. I can't believe it actually came out of my head.
Well, you're very humble. That's very, bless you for that. Okay, now I don't want to keep coming back to this, but just so I can get the story straight. So
Okay.
there was your Messianic Jewish father. There is an
Yes.
Aryan Brotherhood stepfather
Yes, from my older brother and
from your
sister.
older brother and sister.
Yes, my mother's first husband.
First husband. Okay. Does that technically count as a stepfather, or is it just your mother's first husband?
You know what? I don't think so because he was
Okay.
never in my life. So
Yeah, okay. We'll call him your mother's first husband. And then
yeah.
was there an additional stepfather, or is it just those two?
No. She later married my stepfather Richard, who actually adopted me.
Oh, that's nice.
Well,
Oh,
he was the one that sexually molested me.
oh no. That's
Yeah,
not nice.
I know, but um, I've come to terms with it. Um, I've been in therapy since I was 14 years old, so you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, that's good to
and
hear. I'm
a lot of forgiveness, a whole lot of forgiveness. I found out actually that he had been molested.
Yeah, it is
Kind of,
that a cyclical thing, huh?
it really is. I'm really glad that I got help. You know,
Yeah, me too. Well,
yeah.
we certainly don't need to go into that if you don't want to, or if it's not pertinent.
If it would help someone, I just want to say that forgiveness is so important. That
Yeah,
just, I mean, you can't make any progress in your life if you're in resentment and unforgiveness.
yeah,
There's no way you can have happiness in your life. I don't think you can have bits of it, but you're not going to have the joy that passes all understanding unless you have forgiveness for others, because of what Jesus says: forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And I did a sort of a Bible study, private Bible study on that, and just really contemplated it. I wrote an essay about it and everything, and that's how I came to terms.
Oh, wow. So you really did do a lot of processing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I have tons of written pages.
Now, just, and
Yeah.
again, as I tell everybody, if you want to skip over something, you just say the word. But ho- two questions. How old and where did this fit into the timeline? And did he get busted?
He started molesting me whenever I was 3 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and actually, I told my mother whenever I was 10. We moved away. He promised not to do it anymore. And we moved back.
Oh
He didn't
no.
do it until my mother passed away whenever I was 12.
Mm.
And he began to do it again. And at the age of 13, I had had enough. And I called CPS myself.
You did.
Yes.
Wow. Good
I,
girl.
oh, yeah. I,
Nice.
I'm just like, I'm like made of that stuff that is just real courageous for some reason.
Yeah, you don't mess around, girl.
No, no, no. I don't allow people to treat me bad anymore.
Well,
I don't do.
that's good. Hey,
No.
you're a real Texas girl, I can tell.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that was around 12 or 13.
Uh-huh.
When your mother died, that's so sad.
Yeah. I was really mad at God.
Mm-hmm.
I actually turned full face away from him. Started dabbling in witchcraft
Yeah.
and Satanism.
Oh, yeah, okay. Now we're getting into it.
Yeah. I stayed in that cycle until from the age of 13 until I was 17. Well, 15. Whenever I was 15, I and my boyfriend were in a cult that believed that we were descendants of aliens.
That sounds fun.
We all had the same birthmark, Basil.
Huh?
Yeah.
Who's
That's
we all, like everybody in the cult?
yes.
What?
I know.
What was it? What was the birthmark?
It's a little dot on the back of our neck. a little
And
red strawberry. They call it a strawberry birthmark
now
on the back of my.
was this something that like was a prerequisite to getting into the cult?
No, that's what's strange about it. And my best friend Shannon, she did not have the birthmark, and she called out, "Hey, this is a bunch of BS."
Uh-huh.
You know, and she was always talking to me about, "Hey, what are you doing?" Things like that. But I wouldn't listen to her because I was so entrenched,
Yeah.
and we were doing a lot of acid. We were doing astral projection. We were doing,
Woo!
yes, we were doing witchcraft. I was actually writing spells for the cult. Um, Gathering. I mean, we were going to graveyards and digging up bodies and all kinds of
Oh
stuff.
my gosh. That is
It was
next
pretty
level.
intense. Yeah, it was pretty intense. I put a spell on a girl, and I never saw her again. It was a cross not my path spell, and I never saw her again. And there were other things that happened. There was a lot of stuff that happened.
Wow.
My brother, my big brother, I love my big brother. The leader of the cult, his name was William, was very good at hypnosis and manipulation. Okay, and my brother is very, very intelligent, and he came. He saw what was going on, and he ran him off, and we stuck together for a little while, and it wasn't like, you know, 200 people or even 20 people. It was 14 people.
Really? So it was like one of these little mini cults.
Yeah, it was a little homegrown
Kind of
cult.
like a homegrown cult.
Homegrown cult.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Now,
It never left my bedroom.
now now I'm just curious. I got a couple questions.
Sure.
First of all, how did you come in contact with this cult? Like, how did you even learn about it or get involved? And do you think that maybe attaching to a small group like that had any sort of relation to the community you were seeking in church as a kid?
Oh, absolutely. Whenever I was 14, I was in a with like a group home for kids. Okay, because they took me out of the home.
Yeah.
Of course, they let my dad stay at home. I decided to. They gave me, and I don't understand this, but at 12 years old, they gave me the choice of whether he went to prison or whether we went to counseling.
Wow.
And I chose counseling.
They gave you the choice, the
Yes.
12, 13-year-old child.
At all. That is so weird.
That is bizarre. Now, here's something, Shiloh. I haven't played the guessing game, but what time frame are we looking at? Like what decade? In the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that long ago to be asking a child whether to send their father to prison or go to counseling with their sexual abuser. That's crazy.
Yeah, and also that this abuse started whenever I was, basically a baby.
Yeah.
You know, and they talk about Stockholm syndrome, and I think that had something to do with it. I loved my daddy. I
Yeah.
didn't see him go to prison.
Yeah. Wow.
And yeah, and he still hasn't forgiven himself, I don't think. He was having a hard time.
Okay, well, I want to loop back around to your father and his current status, but how did you get into this cult?
Okay. My brother was friends with William, this hypnotizer, this mesmerizer.
Uh-huh.
And we smoked a lot of weed. I was selling acid at the time, me and my best friend.
You're like 14?
15.
15.
And and I really don't know. It was just us all hanging out together. And I think what happened was, I know what happened was my brother worked, And so William would come over whenever my brother wasn't there, and my brother's like 5 years older than me. So this guy was already 20 and I was 15, you know. And he would tell us all these fascinating things, you know, while we were high.
Yeah.
And
how old was William?
20.
Okay.
Yeah. He was 5 years older than me.
Got it.
Yeah. He ran into my boyfriend at the time. Really, really strange. His name was John Gilbert Wolfe, WLFE. And he was huge. He was like a mountain. The guy was almost 8 feet tall.
Oh.
He was over 7 foot tall.
Wow. So really, literally, he was over 7 feet tall.
I mean, it was really weird because he had like the bony ridge above his eye. I'm serious.
Ooh, nephilim boyfriend.
I'm married to 11 nephilim. As a matter of fact, my oldest son, Andrew, looks exactly like him.
Wow.
I mean, the height, the everything. And the bony ridge isn't as pronounced, but it's there. You can see.
Wait, so this man went on to become your husband?
Well, we were together for 7 years.
Oh, okay.
And he got hit by a train.
Oh, no.
On his way to come get us. And 2 days later, our son died.
Oh, Shiloh. There.
Of SIDS.
I'm so sorry. There are so many things happening at once here.
I know.
This is incredible. Okay, I want to talk more about him in a second. But,
okay.
So William was coming over to your house and was telling you crazy things.
Yes, he was talking about astral projection and how he would astral project and go into other people's houses and do stuff, and like he talked about that he even raped a girl.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in astral projection, and so we were like, cool, you know, we want to try this out. Yeah, and we did. And some things happened. I really don't want to go into because I really don't want to glorify that so much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some crazy things happened. Some crazy things. I had people coming to me saying, you know, the things that were happening. You know.
So long story short, you did it. You astral projected. Yeah,
and you know, and also demon calling.
Mm.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, so you were in deep.
Yeah, I was. I mean, but I you know, whenever people ask me about like the Satanic Church and things like that, I really don't know that much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all I know is my experience, which was, like I said, a homegrown cult. You know, we affiliated with anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I had a few books I took out from the library, but that was about it, you know.
Yeah. So basically he was coming over and gave you an experience in things like astral projection and demon calling, and then you were in the club.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I was like, me and John were the first ones. And then after that, people would come over to buy acid or weed, and they would just be hanging out, and they would be listening to William and us and everything, and start, you know, having these experiences. And it was always strange because if they and I don't remember all their names. I think I have sort of a mental block. I think William actually planted through hypnosis some kind of mental block, because I cannot like go into it. I can't remember. Whenever I look in my mind's eye on these past events, I get a bad headache.
Wow. Yeah.
And that, they say, is the evidence of some kind of mental block.
Oh.
And what creeps me out though, Basil, is that, you know, he said, when the day comes, now check this out. when the day comes and the aliens come in the clouds with Jesus Christ to defeat the evil ones, that we are going to be summoned to a mountain in Germany, and we're going to get in this spaceship and we're going to go up in the clouds and we're going to fight with Jesus.
Wow. So
Against, like with Jesus against the bad guys.
Yeah. So this guy, obviously mixing in a little bit of Jesus, a little bit of the aliens there. He kind of had a full scope of what.
He was good.
Yeah.
He was a master manipulator.
This wasn't just a willy-nilly 20-year-old playing around with a Ouija board.
No.
Wow.
No.
Okay.
And he taught us how to use yantras, which are drawings of doorways. And of course, whenever you're on acid, things change. So, and we would stare into these doors. That's how I originally learned how to astral project until I could do it on my own. Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible.
I could do it at will, and it got to the point to where I didn't even sleep. I was very sleep deprived because whenever I would lay down, I would astral project.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't get rest.
So you were with this William guy for a couple years in this cult, you mean?
5 years. 5 years.
5 years. So from when you were
15 to I was 20, and he was 25.
And I'm sure there's just a wealth of crazy things you could tell us about that point. If there's something in particular that sticks out that you want to share.
Well, as a matter of fact, John and I, after my brother got William to leave, I don't know how it happened. I don't know. But anyway, me and John had a dream together. We were in each other's dream, and this wasn't an astral projection because it was a actual. It looked like it was a dream, and in the dream, because his last name was Wolf, I suppose. William had him convinced that he was a werewolf, and oddly enough, John had an adrenaline gland, not gland, sphincter muscle problem. It would go wide open whenever he would get angry, and he was already a huge guy. I mean, he was I think 425 pounds when it was
425 pounds?
Well, yeah, he was almost 8 feet tall. So
he was a Nephilim boyfriend.
Yeah, he was. He was my mountain.
Wow.
But whenever he got angry, he literally grew. Because what adrenaline does to your body. It infuses your muscles, makes your hair stand on end. I mean, the whole 9 yards. So whenever he would get this adrenaline gland rush, it would overload his system, and he actually died twice from that, and he died 3 times from alcohol poisoning.
Oh,
yeah.
Your over 7 foot tall boyfriend had an adrenaline issue that would send him into what could lightly be described as a werewolf rage.
Yes, I saw him pull trees, not huge trees, but like saplings, but still.
Well, that's not easy. Wow.
I seen him rip chain link fence out of the ground. I seen him. He was fighting a bunch of guys tried to attack him, and he was like going down the stairs, like just tossing them over like they were, sacks of hay or something.
That's incredible. He must have made you feel pretty safe.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He was my wall. He really was. I could talk smack to anybody.
Wow.
They didn't dare do anything about it.
And William had him convinced that he was a werewolf.
As a matter of fact, at high school, he got thrown out of the high school. We were between classes. We were out, and we were guzzling some beers. We were like we split a 6-pack, you know, and we were slamming these beers before class. Well, the vice principal came out and told us, you know, we're not, evidently, you're not supposed to be drinking on this go around, blah blah blah. and he came like towards me, and this same vice principal had been the vice principal at my middle school. Had gave me pops as a teenager, as a young adolescent, and John knew this, and he took him and threw him over the fence.
Oh my God.
He got kicked out of school after that. So
that's great. Wait. So you said this vice principal gave you what now?
He would I was in elementary school.
Uh-huh.
I got pops every single day.
What is that?
Maybe today, where they would paddle you with a paddle.
Oh, paddle. Okay, so he would, yeah. All right.
I was, like I said, I was a really bad kid. Because I don't know. It was just I would always speak my mind. I would question everything. If I saw a better way to do something, I was going to let you know.
Yeah. And so you guys are chugging beers in the parking lot, and the vice principal comes at you, and John throws him over the fence like it's nothing.
Yeah, like oh, this guy's bothering you? Here you go. You know, it was funny. Poor guy, but yeah.
Wow, you could not make that stuff up. That is hilarious.
And my brother, who I just got back in contact with after 5-7 years or so,
mm-hmm.
He knows all of this, and actually now he does a lot of research into giants. He's like really into giants.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I sent him this. Michael Heiser did a supernatural seminar, number 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's about giants, and there was something there I didn't know. So
yeah,
that was cool. Michael Heiser's good dude.
Oh, that's incredible. Okay, so John threw the vice principal over the fence. What's coming next?
Well,
so, are you out of the? So William got run off by your brother. You don't know how.
No.
You're coming out of the cult situation. What was it like? Were you still holding on to that kind of stuff?
We had this dream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's why I needed to explain about the werewolf thing, because in the dream, John, what I called him Wolf. Everybody called him Wolf.
Of course.
So Wolf's running down the road with this random girl. Actually, she's not random. It's another story, and probably something that I need to ask God for help me with forgiveness about. But anyway, he's running with this girl. They're looking at each other, and as they're running, they're turning into wolves, not werewolves, but the actual dogs.
Yeah,
wolves. And I am an owl in a tree, watching them, and this is before call ID, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I called Wolf, and I was like, man, I had this crazy dream, and I told him about it, and he said, oh my God, I had the same dream.
Mm.
And so we get on 3-way to call his aunt, who's a witch, like certified witch, and like I said, before
certified witch, licensed by the Bureau of Witches.
Yes. And she picks up the phone and she says, John, Shiloh, don't worry about the dream. And she didn't even know who it was that was calling.
Just out of nowhere, she answers and says that.
Yeah.
Wow.
She said it doesn't mean anything. And
that's very suspicious.
Yeah, especially somebody on that side of the fence telling you something like that. You know, this kind of a okay, well, yeah, you know, the reverse thing, you know. So
you call her, she answers, says, don't worry about the dream before you even mention it to her.
Even mention it to her before, I mean, he said hi. Mm-hmm. I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And she was like, Wolf, Shiloh. Don't worry about the dream.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
And
so
you just dropped it or what?
well, no, we went out and asked her and everything, and I actually did some, look into some dream books and stuff like that, and especially after his death, it was talked about owls are important of death and things like that. Couldn't really figure out about him turning into a werewolf. Now, I did find out that a lot of guys that do the Satanism thing, that there is such a thing as like taking a vow with Satan to be a super soldier or something, and they do this like werewolf thing.
Yeah.
I don't really know that much about it, but that's what I read. So
now how did that relate to you guys sort of coming out of the cult, or where did that lead?
well, everything kind of what do you say? How do you say the word? Disintegrated.
Mm.
It just disintegrated. It was like, you cut off the head, the body dies, and that's basically what happened. Of course, I was kind of still into it because I was still selling acid. I was still drinking, smoking weed, and so excuse me. I continued to have a few of the people over.
So when you say the whole thing disintegrated, you mean the cult started falling apart after William left?
Yeah. There was no leader, so yeah.
But you were still sort of practicing independently or something?
Yeah, I was, and it really disturbed me because whenever my son was born, and Wolf and I were just fresh out of this cult, pretty much. I mean, it had been like 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was really weird because all of a sudden I knew that God was drawing me, and he told me, he said, if give up the witchcraft, I will give you more power to the Holy Spirit and prayer than what you ever thought you had as a witch.
Wow.
And I didn't know where that came from. The only thing I could think is that it came from the God that I worshipped as a child. That was the same Jesus Christ speaking to me, and I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that, and so I started the long journey back, and a lot of people think that you can, you can change the road you're on, like the famous words are. You can always change the road you're on, but it's not an automatic switch. There's a lot of things that you have to clean up on the way.
Yeah.
You can go down the right road, and one of those things was I started attending church.
Were you still with Wolf at this point?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
We were together, but only, it was strange. We had a strange relationship. There was some wife swapping kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and he lived in another town. He lived in a town called Blessing, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were together whenever he came to town. That's basically how that went.
Right.
So I with my brother, I started to attend church, and Dr. Leno, I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No.
I mean, this is before podcasts. He was on a radio station called KSBJ here in Houston, and that's a Christian alternative music, Anyway, and Dr. Leno would come on there. But anyway, Dr. Leno was from South Africa and pastor in Kingwood, and Forest Cove Baptist Church. And I went to him for prayer. He prayed over my son and I, and he prayed deliverance from demonic influence and things like that. And I started coughing. I started coughing up black stuff. I don't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know what it was or anything, but
Was this something you asked for, or did he discern something and just come at you?
no, I went to him privately, and how I got an audience with him, I don't know, because it was a huge church. It was like an Osteen kind of thing,
Yeah.
almost. How I got a private audience with him, I don't know. But anyway, I remember it's just me and Andrew, and he was praying for deliverance from satanic influence. And I remember I had always, since I started getting into the Satanism things, I wasn't aware of it until I got out of it, and I was trying to get away from it. But there was like this big, dark, black presence hovering over me all the time. And whenever he prayed, that presence left.
Wow. So you had some passengers. You had some old friends following you around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably, the demons that we summoned and things like that. The house that we lived in actually switched hands so many times. There was talk of haunting and things like that in the house. Yeah.
Wow. So, but that's great news. You got prayed over and you coughed up the black goo. So that must have helped something.
It was goo, as a matter of fact. But after that, I fell away again, Basil, and
isn't that how it is?
It's just back and forth, it seems.
Yeah, we experience the power of God in amazing ways that that are just people crave that kind of experience with the supernatural, and still it's easy to sort of drift away, huh?
Yeah, it's somehow tied into us to just forget.
Okay, so you went back to the church. You got prayed over. You're dealing with the sort of demonic oppression that's following you around. You got your small baby. Your wolf is in another town. Very complicated relationship. And then you said you started slipping away from the church again. What happened? Was it from God or from church, or were you going back to your cult ways? What was the deal?
No. I was renting a house with my two children at this point. Me and Wolf had another little girl.
Oh, wow.
And I was living in this little house, and with my brother was living in the big house, and my stepdad was in my life, and he smoked marijuana, and he was giving me or selling me marijuana. So my brother found out, and he kicked me out. So after that, I was angry. I ended up going and dabbling in martial arts, which was actually wasn't real in depth. It was sort of I learned from a guy, that knew.
Yeah. So like what? You were just trying to learn to fight, trying to learn karate?
Yeah, I was trying to learn how to defend myself because
that's good.
out in the world by myself. What I learned is a passive form of weapons. Basically, if you go to hit me, you're going to hit my knife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's useful, and it's been very useful because I ended up on the streets for 25 years.
Oh my gosh.
25 years.
25 years.
Yes, I now have a year and 4 months sober.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And it's all to the glory of God, because if he wouldn't have saw fit to have me arrested,
yeah,
I would not have gotten to make this change in my life. And I remember, Basil, I remember rolling on the ground high from Kush and crack and just screaming. I mean, in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Just screaming to God, please get me out of here. If you have to kill me, get me out of this place. It was bad.
And okay, hold on. Are we skipping ahead here?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, that was a good teaser. I want to hear that story, but I need to know how you got there.
Well, in 1999, I started doing prescription medication.
Classic.
And yeah, and I because of my psychological issues, whatever, I had panic attacks. They gave me Xanax. Well, I abused them. I went to. I realized what I. Well, okay, let me tell the real reason. Be honest, Shiloh. My son Cody woke up crying, and I was high. And I put my hand over his mouth, and he was 8 months old. And my father-in-law luckily was in the room and he knocked me to the other side of the room. And I kind of came to a little bit, realized the horrible thing that I'd done, and I went I took all this prescription medication. It wasn't just Xanax; it was Soma. Hydrocodone. It was all the heavy stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got all the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, we did pill doctors at the time. That was our part of our income.
Right.
And so I took all this medication, and I was going to go trade it for some marijuana because I could function on marijuana. That's what I thought. And whenever I got to her house, she wasn't home, and I was just like, "This is not possible." I went around the back of her house or her apartment building, and looked in the back window. Nobody home. There was a brick laying on the ground.
Oh boy!
And this little voice said to me, "Why don't you just pick up the brick and smash the window and go in there and get some marijuana and
smooth it all out later."
Yeah, nobody will know. I think that's Satan's biggest thing.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever know.
Right.
With it, you're gonna get away with it. It's all good. Nobody's gonna know. So it ended up that I didn't find marijuana. I took a fishing net full of dirty clothes, a jar of coins, mostly pennies, and some prescription medication that wasn't even narcotic.
You just couldn't find the weeds, so you just grabbed whatever you could while you were in there.
Yeah, I figured I might as well.
Oh, no.
So I dragged it home, it was about a block away or so, and it was like 2:30 in the morning at this point. So the neighbors, they always were calling the police on us for domestic disturbance and things like that. So they did, and because I came in the house with this big fishing net full of junk, and I was like, "Hey, everybody, wake up! Come look what I got."
You wanted to show off your haul, huh?
Yeah, and my son was 8 years old at the time, and there was a knock at the door. Whenever he opened it, there were two police officers. Now, I didn't see two police officers. I saw two of my friends, and I was held up the pill bottles, and I was like, "Hey, you're here. Will you trade me some weed for these pills? Because I just can't function on these pills." my boyfriend at the time smacked me on the back of the head, and my vision cleared. I realized what was going on. I started crawling backwards, and they ended up taking me to the hospital, mental hospital.
Yeah, wow.
I ended up in jail. It was my first offense ever. I had never even had a jaywalking ticket, and they wanted to give me 6 months of rehab, 5 years adjudicated probation, but everyone else was telling me, don't do that, take the time. So I took the time. It was 2 years TDC.
Wow.
First offense ever.
I mean, why would your friends want you to take hard time instead of rehab and...
Because they were all criminals, and and they had been through the system before, and they were just telling me, this adjudicated probation is a setup for failure, and because you're going to go use again. So
right.
I in that position, just do the time. What I didn't realize at the time was that I was going to lose my kids over it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, and my kids were put in CPS. They were abused by their foster parents. So the grandparents of my ex, and my grandparents stepped in and said, we'll adopt them. Part of my family wanted to take the two oldest and let the grandparents have the youngest, but my daughter, who was 7, went in a rage in the courtroom and was like, I'm not being separated from my little brother. That was her baby.
Yeah.
So the grandparents agreed to adopt him. And at that point, I got out of prison. I did 13 months on a 2-year sentence, which is not normal.
Is that you got out early, you mean, or?
Got out late.
Late.
Usually you do between 8 to 11 months. It depends on. Yeah, and I did 13.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, if it would have been present day law, it would have actually been an aggravated case, because Texas law says if you break into someone's home, burglarize it, it is a aggravated. Doesn't matter if you have a weapon or not.
Okay, and that would have upped the ante a little bit. Okay, right. Wow. Okay, so you started getting in trouble with the law here, starting to up the ante.
Yep, and it was all downhill from there, Basil.
Yeah.
I started. I wanted to keep my boyfriend. He was the last piece of family. I thought, me and my brother were far estranged by this time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to keep him around. So I started. I started prostituting, Basil. I started smoking crack, and he left me. And I just stayed. I just stayed. It was the area of town that I had lost my children, I lost my family, and I always thought somebody will come find me. Nobody did. Nobody ever came.
Interesting. You're kind of waiting for rescue in a way.
Yeah, and it was ultimately God that rescued me, and I just want to say that there's a thread that's been throughout my life that nobody has ever, well, except for my brother standing up to that cult leader that one time, which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah.
It's always been me and God against the world, and it was always him. And this last time, whenever I was in jail, and all the times I've ever been in jail, no one has ever written me, no one has ever sent me money, and God showed me at this last little stint, he showed me that he did not want anybody to be able to take credit for my transformation.
Yeah.
He to be the sole one that I could say it was God, and nobody could ever come in and say, oh, well, I helped her.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah,
that was kind of cool. That was really
that
cool.
is really cool. And so
Yeah.
you said you were either trying to stay close to or trying to get back with your boyfriend. Now, was that Wolf or was that a different one?
It was a different one.
Different one.
Wolf died in '94.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
That sounds very sad.
Yeah, they died in 1994. And it's strange. My daughter, years later, she told me, and I did not remember this, of course, but she said that at the time, and she was 4 years old whenever this happened, and she said at the time that she remembered looking up in the clouds, and there was a man holding a baby
Oh
in
my
the cloud.
gosh.
She,
Wow.
it's Wolf and Jacob. Yeah.
That's incredible.
And I just think I just, I mean, for me, I've had such experiences with the supernatural that I just find it really weird that other people don't accept it as quickly as I do. I know that's in itself weird, but you know, I'm just like, why can't you see it? It's like right there, you know.
It's all around you. It's happening.
Yeah, you know, I've always been aware of the spiritual aspect of the universe. It seems, and I really believe I got that from my mother.
Yeah.
I really
That's
do.
that's very interesting. Yeah, was your mother a supernatural type lady?
Well, she had a book of Nostradamus, and I really wish I had this book because she had all kinds of uh, little notes in the edges of the book, you know, where she figured out stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that she read, you know, everything by C.S. Lewis, everything, and which I've done now. The only thing I haven't read is Surprised by Joy, and that's my next one.
Yeah, I heard that one is actually quite good.
Yeah. Oh, The Great Divorce, I think, is the best. The Great Divorce is so awesome. It's man.
There we go. You are a reader. We got some book recommendations for everybody.
Oh yeah. Um, the Screw Tape Letters was good, but The Great Divorce is better in my opinion.
All right.
Um,
So,
and
oh,
I wanted to tell you about this one thing also that happened in 2003. I was sold to MS-13 for $300.
what?
Yeah, and I was on the streets. I was prostituting. Me and I thought at the time he was a boyfriend. In all actuality, he was a pimp.
Yeah.
He had a $300 debt to them, which was like kind of orchestrated. They chased him in a fake cop car, and he threw the dope. They caught back up with him and demanded the money for the dope. He didn't have it, so they said, "Well, give us the girl." And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so I was picked up, and I knew something was weird. I never did this. I never carried a weapon. I busted a beer bottle and had it in my jeans pocket. And this guy picked me up. I won't get into exactly what happened, but he told me that I was going to be, that it was his job because he was trying to get into the gang. He was commissioned to pick me up, take me. I was going to be raped, and it was going to be his job to shoot me in the back of the head and dump my body in the bio.
Oh my gosh. And he's telling you this?
Yeah, as we're on the freeway. So we're on 45 going towards Hilltone Road, and God told me, if you jump, you will live. If you don't, you'll die a horrible death.
Yeah.
And I went to jump. He yanked me back. I pulled out the bottle, and I stabbed him in the face.
Woo! Yikers.
Yep. And I jumped out the car at 70 miles an hour. I landed face first. Yeah, my lip is had to get sewn back on. Busted out my front teeth. My arm was spiral broke where the bone shattered.
Oh my gosh.
So now it's metal. I can't raise my hand or open my fingers. Yeah. But
That is the craziest action-packed story I think that's ever been told on this podcast.
Yeah. But,
oh my gosh. But you jumped out of a car at 70 miles an hour after stabbing a guy in the face with a broken beer bottle.
Yes. And I was pregnant.
What?
And did not
Shiloh.
did not lose the baby. My sister adopted her. My sister always wanted a daughter. She had problems, had to have a hysterectomy, couldn't have any more children. So I let my sister adopt my daughter.
Oh my gosh. That is incredible.
Yes, God's brought me through so much.
God is good. You had quite the hedge of protection in that moment.
Yeah. People say, well, wow, you got pretty messed up there. And I just say, well, you should see my angel.
Yeah.
There was an angel between me and that concrete, man. You should see my angel. She's probably tore up.
Wow.
So I start college on Monday at Grand Canyon University. And I'm going for behavioral science. It's a Christian university. I'm going for behavioral science, and my goal is, and I feel like this is my calling, to start a group home for individuals with disabilities, be they vets or civilians, that want to gain back their sense of self-worth and contribute to society by through education, technical training, volunteering. I'm even contemplating getting into the community garden type thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what I want to do. I don't want to stay on disability for the rest of my life, but they have told me that I'll get Medicaid for the rest of my life. So that's a plus.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, that's real nice.
Well, that's incredible. It sounds like you're really doing, you've got some great plans ahead of you. Now, you mentioned in your messages to me that you've been sober for 1 year, 3 months, and 3 weeks.
Yes, and now as of the 14th, it's been 1 year and 4 months.
That is absolutely awesome. Congratulations.
I feel better than I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah, well, I bet so. You have had quite the experience. Your life has been just an incredible journey. And, it's starting all the way from childhood there with some traumas, and we can really see how that it's an escalating sort of momentum building snowball effect of how things can really go wrong. But it seems like God's been there the whole time, keeping you safe.
Man, He has.
What's been your relationship with God the past few years as you continue on here? What was there a big turning point, or what's been going on?
Well, I actually went into a horse ranch that was a rehab.
Yeah.
It's equine therapy. And basically it was slave labor, but I didn't mind. And
yeah, we get to hang out with horses.
Oh man, it was awesome.
Not a bad way to spend the day. 74
horses, and I just started. I started listening to KSBJ, and I would be, going around looking out stalls and stuff, just singing these praise and worship songs at the top of my voice,
Yeah.
And I've got to say, there's supposed to be some kind of MRI study. If you sing worship and praise songs specifically, it releases a chemical of healing in your brain that's actually only released whenever you're in deep, deep sleep.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was pretty cool. So, yeah.
So you got to train some horses there for a while to help you get right.
Yeah. And, okay. I stayed sober for 8 months. Then I stayed sober for 2.5 years. And this is whenever I went to New Mexico. I was a volunteer at a homeless shelter. My problem came whenever I came out from behind the desk and started to be on the same level with the clients and things. started doing drugs again.
Ah, yeah.
Trying to be buddies, and yeah, I've got to. I still have to guard against that. Sense of wanting to belong to the wrong group.
Right. It really is that sense of community that can kind of draw you into the wrong community.
Yes. And I have a church. I've embraced Messianic Judaism, kind of.
Okay.
Still tentative about that. I mean, I'm really trying. Well, what happened was I came out of Walmart. And there was this lady, this little old lady, and she's walking, and God said, "Tell her she looks spiffy." I said, "God, nobody says spiffy anymore." and it was like, I blew it off, and then she goes around the concrete barrier, and I go around the other way. Well, we end up meeting up again, and God said, "Tell her she looks spiffy." I said, "God, nobody says spiffy anymore, but okay, So I go up to her and I said, "Ma'am, you look spiffy today." And you know what she said?
What?
"Nobody says spiffy anymore." Well, we started talking, and I don't know how I knew this. I don't know. But I asked her, I said, are you Jewish? And she said, "Well, yes, I am." And I said, "Well, I kind of really just found out, about my dad and stuff at the time." And I was like, "Well, I'm technically, have Jewish blood." And she was like, "Well, I'm a Messianic Jew." And she was like adamant about that. And I'd never even heard of what a Messianic Jew was.
Yeah.
And so she told me about it and everything. And then I showed up. She didn't give me her phone number. She gave me the address of the synagogue. But so I showed up, and she was really happy to see me. And I remember one time she leaned over to me and she said, "Me and you are probably the only actually Jewish people here." She is so cute. Yeah, I love her. So I got sponsored to go to my first Passover on Saturday, and I'm really nervous and really excited. And
well, that's awesome.
yeah, and I don't know who it was that sponsored me. I guess I'll find out when I sit at their table.
Yeah, there you go. You're gonna make a friend.
and Basil, an image that I keep in my head all the time. What fills me with such peace and gives me such joy, even through the difficult times that I have to deal with myself, my own unforgiveness, resentment, and things, is a picture of the table at the wedding feast with everybody who has ever prayed for me, everybody who I've ever prayed for, and we're all getting to talk about how important that prayer was, and the other person never knew.
Yeah.
But now we know, because
Yeah.
we'll know each other as he knows us.
Yeah. Amen. I mean,
so it's so cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It sounds like you're really moving into a wonderful part of life, and you got, you got a lot of things to be grateful for here, and you got reconciliation. Now, you mentioned, you're very happy for reconciliation with family, and then I don't know if it was connected or not. You also mentioned you were gonna start going into the current status of your father. And I have this circled here to circle back to. What's going on with him?
He had a stroke. And all I know is that he lives in Livingston, where my brother also lives.
Yeah.
My brother doesn't like him at all, so he doesn't talk about him at all, other than to say that he's in some kind of nursing home. Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting taken care of somewhere.
Yeah, and the reason it upsets me is because I know that he probably had the stroke because of resentment and guilt, and maybe not, but I know that the stress of whatever got to him, and that's why he's sick. So
yeah,
I'm praying for him though.
We'll certainly continue to be praying for him. You know, there's sounds like there's been some music playing, and it sounds like it just got turned up
I'm
to 11.
sorry, it's the neighbors.
Oh, okay. Well,
Can
there's
you hear
nothing we
me
can do
okay?
about that.
There it goes. She turned it off.
Woo! That's
No,
okay. We'll
hers.
we'll make it through here. So that's fantastic. And now, so you're looking at a new chapter of life. Things are looking up. You got a new, a renewed faith, and you also mentioned that you've been writing some poetry.
Yes. First, I'd like to give about my kids. Can I talk about my kids for
Yeah,
just?
please do.
Okay, I have 8 kids.
Oh my gosh.
I have 4 boys and 4 girls.
Yeah.
They were born boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, boy, girl, girl. And one of them is tentatively Christian. She doesn't really know what to think about it because the institution of church is
Sure.
not very appealing to her.
Yeah.
So she is a member of Canary Cry.
Hey, there we go. Right on.
She reads all the stuff. I've never seen her post anything, but she reads everything.
Okay.
Start. My oldest son speaks 9 languages. He was a linguist for the Air Force.
Wow, 9 languages. That's incredible.
I know, and he's extremely smart. That's Wolf's son, the giant.
Yeah, Nephilim boyfriend.
Yeah, and he lives in California, and he is unfortunately involved in Scientology.
Ah.
So he has cut off everybody in the family.
Yeah, you are, I forgot what they call it, but you're one of those.
Chosen. I think that's what they call it, chosen.
Well, they call people who they can't talk to.
Oh
man, I know the term. It's not coming to my head right now, but yeah. Okay, so he's not allowed to talk to you. He's caught up in another group there.
Yeah, and Basil, I pray about it all the time. My other daughter is also with a boyfriend that's Luciferian.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she does. She's a rapper. She's done a couple concerts and at a couple different clubs here in Houston, and I'm really trying to influence her writing little by little. I am. She was writing like some really dark stuff, and I was just like, look, you've got your family, you've got your kids now. Things aren't what they used to be, because she was also she was raped as a child, and it really hurt her bad. But anyway, she's starting to come around a little bit, and I keep the lines of communication open. She knows how I feel about Luciferianism, Satanism, the whole thing.
Yeah.
She knows how I feel, but she's still willing to talk to me. And I don't badger her, but I do about once a month tell her, are you thinking about maybe giving Jesus a chance, being as, he brought me back from the dead, the same power brought Jesus back from the dead brought me back from the dead, because everybody thought I was dead. My kids, it was the saddest thing in the world to hear. Mom, we thought you were dead.
Well, you mean just because you disappeared for a while, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom, we thought you were dead.
Yeah. Now,
So,
I wonder if the Luciferianism is in connection with maybe her desires to do well in the music industry.
I wonder that also.
Yeah.
I do wonder that, because she's influenced by a lot of different artists and stuff that have those kind of views. Of course, like all of them do now, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my poem. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Let's do that, because I would love to. Man. Okay. God basically downloaded this poem into my head because Basil, I did not think about what came what rhymed with what came next, nothing. It was like ready made in my head.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. It's called, and it's going to be the name of my ministry. Okay. It's a sheep's responsibility. We don't normally. This is my little caveat. Well, however you say it.
Caveat, yeah.
You don't think about sheep having any responsibility.
Right.
So it's the shepherd that has the responsibility, but sheep do. Okay, a sheep's responsibility is to heed the shepherd's voice, to choose the higher path, for we are always given a choice, to show ourselves as pure as he to other sheep who have neither heard nor seen, to stand still for the shearer as he lovingly rids us of life's tangles and brambles, to call to him when we are caught, for to save ourselves we cannot, to follow our good shepherd over rough terrain and hill and dell, for he knows the ways and can lead us to the plains with the choicest grasses and grains. The battle is between the shepherd and the wolf. To keep our eyes on him shows our worth, for he loved each one of us so much, he laid his life down on the cross to raise us up with him so that not one sheep would be lost.
Boom.
I know.
There we go. Very good. Yeah, that is a good point. There is so much talk about being sheep and the responsibility of the shepherd, and we put our faith in him, obviously. But yeah, sheep's gotta do the right thing, or else he's gonna find himself wandering off.
That's right.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And I was inspired by scripture, of course, and I plan. I'm doing a little bit as I go, but going back and getting the scriptural references and for the verses of the poem, and writing a book, about.
Yeah, very cool. So we're gonna have a lot of material we're gonna have to keep up on you regarding, huh?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've got a wealth of experiences that you can draw from. So in this new chapter of your life here, what I mean, you've got so much to be thankful for, which is awesome. But, as we all know, staying positive and looking on the lighter side and keeping an eye on the things that are important, that's a daily assignment for us.
It sure is.
Yeah. What do you got going on in your life that is helping you stay positive and joyful amongst all the things you've come out of?
Just then I guess the number one thing is gratefulness. Gratefulness for being rescued and pulled out of the fire, as it were.
Yeah.
And my kitty cat.
Yeah.
It brings me so much joy. Oh my goodness, I love to watch her just be stupid, And I don't care if she has my hairband and tosses it all around the house. I'm not a grouchy pet owner.
Well, that's good news.
I can put it back on my head. Nobody's gonna notice.
What's your kitty's name?
Her official name is Numbers, Nummers.
Nice.
Kind of num.
Yeah, Numbers.
She goes by Kitty.
Numbers got a num.
Yeah.
That is so cute. But
she doesn't know that's her name.
Well,
but.
Yeah, these cats. Although I will say there has been some scientific studies to say that cats do know their names after a while.
Yeah,
but doesn't mean they're going to do anything about it.
That's true. She's really smart. Whenever I have my charger dangling off the table, she'll go for it.
Oh yeah, cats love chargers.
Oh yeah, and I'll say, eh. and she'll wolf her head up and look at me, and I'll be like, no, that's not for Kitty, and she'll just Go away from it. She's really good about that. I mean, I was surprised because I've had cats in the past that will like look at you and bite it while
Yeah, they will taunt you.
Yes,
They
she's
will
not like
show their defiance.
yeah, she's not like that at
Well,
all.
that's very good. Now, are you taking care of yourself?
Yes, I'm having surgery in about 2 weeks.
Oh,
I have muscular dystrophy sarcoma too. It was actually the U.S. Army, whenever the Choctaws were vaccinated, my great grandmother was vaccinated with a vaccine that was actually a a gene splicing thing.
do you have a
They
bird jumping around back there or something?
There's one outside.
Oh, okay. Sounds like he's really being part of the conversation.
He does. Oh goodness.
That's okay. Birds are welcome here.
Well, they took a human gene and a wheat gene, and were trying to make a perpetual soldier that could feed us from within.
Mm.
Well, it backfired, and now what it is it produces a form of muscular dystrophy sarcoma too. That is extra super extension of the tendons and ligaments. In other words, you're like really really stretchy.
Mm.
They can tear easy and things like that. So I've got to go in and have a little bit of surgery on my foot, and I'm on probation until 2021. But I've opted to go into it's just 2 days a week treatment again. Well, I mean, I was already in rehab for 9 months. I did a 3-month rehab on my own of my own volition, and then the state put me in one for 6 months.
Yeah.
And back to back, and that's how I avoided prison, because this was my 9th felony, and God was just so merciful to me.
9th felony. Wow, that's impressive.
To let me go to rehab and be on probation like this. And I mean, basically, it's going right back to the same deal I had in the very beginning, which was 5 years adjudicated probation and 6 months rehab.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's
Well,
odd.
there you go, full circle.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. Somebody's really watching out for you.
It's Jesus. And it's Jesus. Yeah. And somebody pointed out one time that there are no private moments. The whole host of heaven is watching absolutely everything, even if it's in the dark, So I try to keep that in mind too.
Yeah, amen, sister.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that has just been incredible, and you've got great plans for the future.
I do. I really do. And I have a lot of support too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. I have friends. I have the Canary Cry community, which has been amazing. I put out a post about that whenever I had to leave this group home that I was just in. I had left my Bible. I had left all my books. I thought I was going to be able to go back and get my stuff, but I wasn't able to.
Yeah.
Was eventually able to, but at the time I did not think that I was going to be able to go back at all. So there are two brothers, and one of them with his wife sent me Bibles, and and because I posted, I said I need a Bible, and two different guys sent me Bibles, but I didn't realize it was two different people, and I got them confused, and I ended up with 2 Bibles. So,
hey, well, there you go.
Yeah, so I have a gift of a brand spanking new Bible for my brother in June, whenever it's his birthday.
That is awesome. I'm very proud of the Canary Cry community there on Facebook. That is what a great almost testimony just for the group. I'm very happy about that.
Man, Jen Doe has been amazing. She's been a really good friend.
Yeah, she's great.
Listen to me, and I know she's younger than me. I think she's younger than me, but I still look up to her.
Well,
Yeah, I'm from the South. I call everybody ma'am. It doesn't matter. Well,
No, that's great. No, Jen has been a huge help to me and Gons as well, and she's doing a great job with the community, and really, really
she stays on top of stuff.
couldn't ask for more as far as somebody to put in charge of keeping an eye on that group there. So thank you very much, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
There we go. Well, this has been amazing. I am curious, and I think I might know the answer, but I want to know what you say. I mean,
Okay.
I'm always curious how people get into the weird and wonderful world of Canary Cry Radio and things like that. Usually, it tends to stem from something in their past. But how did you hear about the lot of us?
I was on. Oh, this was years and years and years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was Age of Deceit 1.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it was Age of Deceit 1, and I watched that and I was hooked.
There
And
it is.
and Phrase Like the Suns. I actually talked to Gons a couple, not talked, but a message.
Sure.
Gons back and forth. This is may have been like 4 or 5 years ago.
Sure.
And Gons would write me back and everything.
There he goes. Before he had that little human resource, his baby taking up all his time. He actually could respond to messages back then. Well, that is so cool. So you just found us after Age of Deceit. After Age of Deceit changed your life.
It really, it did. I mean, it shined a light on a lot of the things that I had been through, and also the through all of my learning and stuff. Now I've realized that the Masons and everything, that the children are especially the women, the girls are marked.
Yeah.
There's a thing with the Scientology thing, where the firstborn are marked, and I mean it's just so I really feel like because of my decisions and everything, I've left my children open to demonic influence, and so I'm really trying to stay in prayer, just constant prayer about that.
Yeah, amen.
Trying to pray my kids out of all this mess that I feel responsible for,
Wow.
even though they're,
Yeah, you certainly don't need to feel fully responsible. There are forces beyond our control.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm just so impressed with the transformation and that you've made it this far, given everything that you've had to experience, and your plans for the future are just amazing. And we'll continue to pray for you and support that in any way we can. And your poetry is just so beautiful. You're really doing it, Shiloh. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
You're so welcome, and thanks so much for coming on the show. Was there something you wanted to leave everybody with before we wrap up?
Just that the importance of forgiveness.
Yeah.
The importance of forgiveness is ultimate in acquiring any kind of joy, any kind of growth in your life. That's it.
Yeah. Amen. Okay, well, thank you so much, Shiloh, for coming on the show. Say goodbye to all of your new adoring fans.
Goodbye. Love you all so much.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Amen. Well, thank you so much, Shiloh, and you and I will stay in touch, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Basil. I love you.
Oh, thank you so much. I love you back. Wow. Well, there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Shiloh, thank you again for coming on the show and telling your story. And we're all rooting for you. Okay, so be good. And we will, we might check in with her a little bit later. Make sure she's, see how she's doing. But before we wrap up here, folks, I just want to let you know, head over to the Facebook, like the Facebook page for the Joyspiracy Theory, and while you're listening, go ahead and search Apple Podcasts for Ravel, Ravel. And here's a fun fact. You'll learn this when you listen to the Season 1 trailer. Ravel means the same exact thing as unravel. I know, weird, right? So what we do is we're going to be going through the scriptures and taking it topic by topic. Our season 1, we're going to be exploring the parables of Jesus and looking at them in the context of history and culture at the time, and really exploring all the different ways that those parables can still apply to us today, because Jesus told stories that were just as true back then as they are now, and they apply to human beings just as much. We're very excited about it. All the first season is in editing as we speak, and it's all gonna drop soon. So go subscribe to Ravel so you don't miss out, and you get all the updates, and the episodes jump right on your phone when they're ready. So thank you guys so much, and even just as a personal favor to your buddy Basil, go subscribe to Ravel. Okay, folks, you can also make sure to do this while you're on iTunes. You can get all sorts of business done. Leave a rating and a review for the Joyspiracy Theory. Please, please, please. This helps so much to help us climb the lists and help other people find the podcast. And a rating is just 1 to 5 stars, as you know, and a review is leaving some words to let people know why you love the show so much. And it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So thank you so much for that. All right, folks, make sure to tune in next time. But don't forget that when you're walking down the road and you gotta be good, do it. What?
Sasquatch is outside beating on my door with his big foot. Sasquatch is outside beating on my door with his big foot. What does he want with his big foot? He is going to beat me with his big foot. I am afraid of that. Should I open the door and let Sasquatch in with his big foot? I just opened the door and Sasquatch is walking in with his big foot. Sasquatch, what do you want? Sasquatch, what do you want? I will interpret what Sasquatch wants. Sasquatch says he has joy with his big foot. Sasquatch says he has joy with his big foot.